Get ready to get uncorked. It's a new kind of show. Starring me, Cindy Ashton. With special guest, Ivy Slater. Live from the streets of Laguna Beach. This is Cindy Uncorked. Money! Today it's all about the money with Ivy Slater. So if money's your monster, this is the episode for you. She's going to show us how to create a loving relationship with your money. We also have Janet Wise talking about how to get your products and services into corporations. And of course, we've got our celebrities getting uncorked. But first, we've got Dr. Nathalie Beauchamp coming up, and she's going to enlighten us as to why skipping breakfast actually might be a great thing. So let's get to it and let's get uncorked. Wellness Uncorked is brought to you by Dr. Nathalie Beauchamp. Why skipping breakfast might actually be good for you. Find out now.
If you grew up in a household similar to mine, every morning before going to school, you were told, eat your breakfast. Most of the time, it was sugary cereal or some sort of pastry. Remember Pop-Tarts? I know my mom meant well, but was that really the best way to start the day? From a young age, we've been told that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, that it fuels our brain and without it, we can't function optimally. Well, this statement may actually not be completely true, and those of you who are never hungry in the morning may be happy to hear that intermittent fasting or skipping breakfast can actually be a good thing. We're not talking about starving yourself here, but fasting in a structured manner has shown to have great health benefits like fat loss, hormone balance, greater energy, insulin stabilization, and decrease in cellular inflammation. How can that be? Well, intermittent fasting isn't a new concept. Think about it. Our ancestors did not have food all the time. They often went from periods of feast to periods of famine. These periods conditioned their bodies to burn stored fat as its primary source of energy when food was scarce. See, the body uses two sources of fuel, glucose and ketones. Ketones come from our fat, but because glucose is so readily available to us, we barely get to use ketones as fuel. We never become what is called fat adapted and never really use fat as an energy source. So what's the deal with using only glucose as fuel? Well, glucose is actually a dirty fuel and creates inflammation in the body, while ketones are a much cleaner fuel and do not remotely create as much inflammation. There are several ways to go about intermittent fasting, depending on your lifestyle. The most common used method is called a 16-8, which consists of 16 hours of fasting and an 8-hour window for eating. 16 hours of fasting may seem like a lot, but keep in mind that you are sleeping for at least 7 to 9 of these fasting hours. An example of this would be to have dinner at 6 p.m. at night and not eat your next meal until 10 a.m. the next day. I want to stress that intermittent fasting is not for everyone and that you should not do every day. It is also not a calorie restriction diet, nor does it count macronutrients or portion sizes. It works by limiting the window in which we consume food during the day. You're not eating less food, but rather eating less often. Try it out and see how you feel. All right, ladies, right now, I want you to tweet me and tell me if you're ready to test out intermittent fasting.
Be sure to get Dr. Beauchamp's free gift, a complete health and lifestyle self-evaluation, and the ebook, Toxin Overload. Discover how toxins may be disrupting your hormones and preventing you from reaching a healthy weight. Go to wellnessuncorked.com. Now it's time for Live from the Streets. Well, Laguna Beach.
What is your relationship with money? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Is it easy to make it? Do you struggle with it? Tell me.
I hate money. I don't want to deal with it. But, you know, you just have to have it. So not hard for me. I have a good job. So
I don't love it or hate it. I know it's a necessity. I always feel bad for people that don't have enough of it. But
I love it. He makes it. I spend it.
I love it and I don't have it. Money doesn't mean as much to me.
Well, I'm a finance major at Cal State Long Beach, so I enjoy learning about money. Love, hate, I guess.
I feel money is energy. You have to save some and you have to give some to help other people.
But I don't like to deal with paying bills, money. I don't like to carry it in my wallet. No cash, just credit cards.
I always say, my money is my money, his money is my money.
And my job, I'm doing pretty good, so it's okay.
It's what you can do with it.
I would say money's not an issue in our relationship. She's still in school. I play professional baseball, so I don't make a whole lot of money yet, but hopefully I will.
It's a necessity, but I think for a lot of us, I'm a graduate student, so it's hard to work and go to school at the same time.
And that it's a moving energy, so you can't just grasp it, and you have to make an effort to have what you need.
It was never my driving force in life. I think family and spending time with people and relationships was more important.
All right, everybody, money, money, money. Everybody loves money, but so many people are challenged with it. So today we are going to talk about creating a loving relationship with your money. And it's with one of my favorite business coaches on this planet, Ivy Slater. Hi.
Hey, Cindy. It's so exciting to be here. And yeah, go us.
Go us.
Go us, and go us to making a difference with women and money and changing this whole perspective around.
Exactly. So when we talk about creating a loving relationship with money, are we talking about people who are below average earners or every woman?
Every woman. We all got this thing going on. We have this thing going on that we just, if we don't open the bank account, we don't really have to know what's there. If we just kind of move the money and it just shows up and we can pay the bills. But where's the strategy for really increasing our wealth? For actually embracing the money and truly the numbers. I think it's so important to just kind of eliminate the word money a little bit and just look at numbers. And let's play with numbers. We can look at it as like Candyland or Chutes and Ladders.
Exactly. But one of the things I find, Ivy, is that a lot of people are afraid to look at their numbers. And I know that's why one of the reasons why you wrote a book on this.
I did.
Let's see this book. It's called
Conquer Your Fear of Money, A Woman's Guide to Business Success.
Right.
I spent 20 years building a printing company, building a 7-figure business that made a difference in my family's life, made a difference of raising my kids in New York City, being able to do it all because I embraced the numbers, the number story.
The numbers. So this is definitely not just for people who are struggling with money and below average earners. It's really for every single woman.
It's about having that goal, right? You create the end all be all, and then you create the plan to get there. But if you don't look at the plan in the journey, then you don't know what's going on and you don't know if you're on track, at what adjustments, how you course correct things. And it's about that number plan. I always say your numbers are a story. If you don't like the last chapter, what's sitting in your bank account, go back and start rewriting that first and second chapter, the actions you're taking.
Right.
And if you fear it and you hide from it, you're never going to achieve it. You're never going to own it.
Clearly, our viewers can see how crazy passionate you are about this. So I know that it comes from somewhere deeper. Tell us this powerful story that you have behind this of why it's so important for women to understand their numbers.
I love that you asked that.
Yeah.
Okay. I learned this the hard way. So we learn most of our lessons the hard way. Shocking, I know. Hello.
It's like, whoa.
We do. Our learning lessons don't always come easy. And years ago when I was early in my printing business, I had my 2 kids. They were about 5 and 2 at the time. Okay, they're now 21 and 24. To give you a reference of, again, do the numbers, play with the numbers, guys. I had a partnership there was 4 of us who owned the company at the time. We had about a $3.5 million business. There was 2 young people, myself and another guy, and 2 older gentlemen.
Okay.
Got the picture?
Got the picture.
One of the other young guys said, hey, you want to go out and grab a sandwich? I said, sure, let's go. And we go across the street. I order my sandwich. He goes, hey, instead of going back to the office today, do you want to sit down? I said, sure. Why not? We sat down, and over this lovely sandwich, he goes, Ivy, I make the most money here. I bring in the most money here. you're second to me. It's time to get the old guys out and take control.
Ooh.
Actually form a coup. I said, excuse me? You didn't actually say that, did you? Like, form a coup? He goes, it's our time. We have these young families. It's our money. You know, we have to own it. I bring in the most, and you're second to me. Well, he goes, what do you think? I said, you know what? I'm going to think about that. You know, let me give it some thought, and let's talk again. We go back to the office. At the end of the day, I go home. I see my husband, and he goes, wow, you seem a little off. I said, I have to tell you about this conversation I had.
Right.
And I told him about it, and he was like, what are you gonna do? And I said, he says he makes more than me. He goes, that's the whole thing? He makes more than you? I said, and I'm gonna prove he's wrong. I didn't have the information.
You
So
didn't have your numbers.
I didn't have my numbers.
Right.
And I said to him, I said, tomorrow night, when everybody leaves the office, I'm going to go around the corner, grab a cup of tea, and
Sneak
then
in.
sneak back in at 6 o'clock when I know it's clear.
Yeah.
Okay? And I'm going to run the numbers. He goes, Ivy, you're talking about like a full night's work, if not more. We had no computers at this time, Cindy.
Oh, it was back then.
It was back then. It was the olden days. Not that I'm dating myself. Don't do those numbers. And he goes, listen, get your mom to babysit the kids. You'll show me the formula, and we'll do it together. And we did. I went back in at 6 o'clock the next night. I took out all the job tickets that were my clients.
Right.
And all the job tickets that were the other partners. And I sat and I ran what was called actuals.
Right.
I broke down every number in that job.
Oh.
And then with an old-fashioned calculator.
Oh, I remember those where the little slips would come up.
And the tapes that ran. We totaled numbers about 1, 2 in the morning.
And
what did I learn?
I don't know. What did you learn, Ivy?
That I brought in the most profit in that company.
Bam!
Shocking.
Bam!
But it wasn't just about me and my ego, although it did help.
Yeah, that helps.
It was about what I learned from the experience. What I learned from it is I did not know my numbers in a conversation that could have shifted everything right then. I didn't have the information at my fingertips.
To say, listen, dude.
Right. Let's not talk about sales just. Let's talk about profit margins. Let's talk about who's supporting this company, the overhead, the rent, and all those expenses that we're paying every month.
Right.
That was the information that was key. And that was the information that enabled me to go out and open my own business.
And gave you the strength and the power.
And take control of my
numbers.
Instead
of having some guy who wants to create a coup and then suddenly he'll find a way to create a coup with you and the business and cut you out.
Right.
Bam. I love it.
So it's the knowledge. It's in
got
that
the
knowledge.
right.
What can we do? When we don't have the knowledge, we're at a disadvantage all the time because people can manipulate us. Society and the advertising and everything about money and numbers is throwing us in every direction.
Yeah.
This piece of information and understanding what your numbers are and knowing what they are gives you the power to make decisions in your life, your business, your career.
Do you find that when it comes to women who are employed versus self-employed that there might be a difference between if they actually own their numbers or not or know them?
I wish I could say there was, but
not.
there is no difference. It's women. We want to shift the way we do it. If relying on our husbands, our accountants, our financial planners to actually tell us what we should be doing versus actually sitting down and creating the strategy with them, following the number pattern so you can achieve those financial goals that you set forth for yourself.
Right.
Without somebody saying, oh, you have a problem, or, oh my gosh, this is working. It's like, hey, I know it's working. I own it. I planned it, and I'm following it.
Right.
When there's a shift in the road, and there's always going to be shift in the roads, it's life.
Yeah.
You're actually on the front end directing it versus on the back end trying to catch up and saying, oh my goodness, what's going on?
I know that you have 3 amazing strategies to get women to really own their numbers, know their numbers, and really plan a strategy for greater wealth and prosperity. So before we go to commercial break, let's do the first one.
Okay. The first one is to actually have a financial goal.
Yes.
Okay? So it sounds like, well, of course. No. We wish common sense hit us on a regular basis here. Okay? What is your financial goal? What do you want to retire with in the bank? What do you want to actually be earning in the next 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? Create the goal, because then you can create the actions. What's my strategy in growing my career? What is the strategy in growing my business? What is the strategy around my investments? Based on actually having a goal in mind of what you want to achieve.
Yeah.
Too often we say, yeah, I'll get to that later. I just need to do this now. Do the goal first, have that financial goal so you could create the plan to support it.
I love it. So we are going to commercial break now, and then of course live from the streets, because boy, do we want people to get uncorked about their money and their relationship and all that jazz. And then after the break, Ivy is going to give us steps 2 and 3. So steps 2 and 3. So make sure you come back. We'll see you after the break.
I know you. Like me, you're a socially conscious entrepreneur, already creating a legacy in your business, living what you believe in, and nothing will stop you. Except having a web presence that's just okay. The world needs to see your work, your passion, your gift. Let's show it to them. I'm Michelle Empson, and together we will build a digital platform that will be the foundation for your business growth. I did this for CindyUncorked.com, and I want to do it for you. So visit me today at sanctuary-studios.net, and let's get started.
Do you have yearly financial goals that you create, and do you have a strategy on how to achieve them?
Yes, I make general goals, like in terms of paying off part of the mortgage, etc., stuff like that.
Oh my goodness, financial goals. Well, of course, we would love to retire young, but with today's economy and everything, like everybody else, they struggle.
Oh no, I have no goals. I exist in the moment and then just kind of go from there.
Well, like you said, I'm still a student, so I'm just finishing up my degree, and then eventually when I get a job, I would definitely start planning for my financial future.
I wish. I mean, I think there's an idea of what I would like to achieve, but for me, I'm almost just, living paycheck to paycheck as a young adult.
Yeah, just try to buy what is essential and save what I can and have fun over the weekend. Like this weekend, we are here having fun, walking and enjoying this great weather.
Kind of broad goals.
And do you have a strategy to achieve those goals?
Yes, I mean, knowing what to save and when.
Yes, our goals is also to live happy and try to fix our home to make it look beautiful, things like that.
I plan pretty long term on other stuff and have no plan for things in the moment.
I still get helped out with my parents. So but in terms of our relationship, I don't think we have any financial goals between us yet.
Those are interesting answers, as always. So, Ivy, all right, so step 1 was make your financial goal.
Create your financial goal.
Create
know
your
what
financial
it is.
goal. Okay, what's step 2?
Know your why. So I want to talk to you a little bit about this.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you want and the why you want it? So do you want a home? Do you want to travel? Do you want your kids in certain schools, in certain neighborhoods? Do you want a life that you could take care of your parents?
Yeah.
What is important to you? No matter what, if we're in a career, if we're building a business, on those tough days, and we've all had them, you have to have an impetus to get out of bed and work your financial strategy.
Yeah.
So when you're connected to your why, what you want and why you want it.
Yeah.
So honestly, Cindy, my why has been the same for 24 plus years.
Yeah.
What I've wanted has changed in the journey. In the last few years, it was wanting to put my 2 kids in college and not leave them with debt. That was a personal what I wanted. Okay? But the why has always been about providing a certain type of life to give my kids, to raise them in a certain way that they could see the world, learn. That was my why. And on those tough, rainy days, those days that business didn't always go well, the decisions didn't always work, that the strategy kind of went to pot. It happens.
Yeah.
What gets you up and moving, that gets you through that,
Yeah.
it's the connection to your why, and your why sits in your heart and in your gut.
And I think what's important about this is that I see people make financial goals, but they are from the what, or they're just like, I just need to do this, and they really don't go deeper, and then they're out of alignment. And when you're out of alignment, it's a lot harder to make that money and keep it.
Exactly. And you just hit a great point. We could make the money, okay? Everybody can do something, you can make money. The question is, how do you retain it, and how do you grow it, and how do you plan?
Right.
How do you pay off any debt? Okay, debt is not a bad thing if it's been used as a strategy, but you want to have it in your plan to pay it off. And, you know, honestly, debt's the American dream. The American dream is to own a home. That's part of being in America, having our dream, taking care of our families. The second we sign on that dotted line, you've gone into debt. That's the most beautiful thing you can achieve.
But it's good debt.
It's good debt.
And it's a Canadian dream too, FYI.
You know, what is the strategy financially that you're making your payments, maybe accelerating your payments? What is your strategy to acquire a second home or certain schoolings or cars, trips? Give back, you know, it's one of my dreams, and I've been able to help my mom at this point in her life.
Oh, I love it.
And, you know, we're having such joyful times together because we can.
Yeah.
How do you create that? What's your why? What's important to you? Because that's how you get moving and you create this to happen in real life and not in a fantasy land.
So let's go to number 3.
Okay, number 3 is take a look at the timeline. Okay, so if you've created a timeline that might be 15 years to make and acquire this salary, this income, this financial goal, how can you expedite it? How can you expedite it, right? How can you shorten that? Maybe take 10%, 15%, 20%. Can you do it in 10?
Yeah.
What would it look like? How can you do that? Review that plan, okay? We are usually pretty conservative when we're planning, and not a bad thing.
Right.
So you've created this plan, and it's a conservative plan at the outset. Now, how do we actually start expediting this? Do we actually see, hey, what if we're an entrepreneur, if we're a business owner, what strategies can we put in place to move that business forward on a more accelerated path? How do we start delegating, building a team so we can actually create more in sales? Okay, so how do we hire for success?
I love it.
If we're in a career, how do we navigate the career forward? If we're just staying and getting, you know, a few % raises every year, what's the strategy to actually get us to where we want?
And take that leap.
And take that leap.
Love it.
You know, guys, playing conservatively is not always your best course of action. You want to have a plan that might represent fair course of action, and then you want to actually say, hey, what can I do? I tell this all my clients. Every day you wake up and you say, today I can. And you look at today I can. And when you actually identify 3 things that you can get done in that day that's going to move your business, your career, your life forward, and you commit to it daily, you will accelerate forward.
I freaking love it. That's awesome. So Ivy, you're a brilliant business coach, and you do work with both entrepreneurs and in the corporate sector. So tell us where people can find you and where they can find your great book, Conquering the Fear of Money, A Women's Guide to Business Success.
So you can check out my website, SlaterSuccessCoaching.com. And if you really want a business strategy, a financial strategy, go to SlaterSuccessCoaching.com/ROI. It stands on return on your initiative. The initiative we take in marketing, sales, and the money to grow our businesses and our lives.
That's great. Ivy, thank you for being on the show. I think you have empowered a lot of women out there. You're awesome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's been so fun being with you.
Fun. Career Uncorked is brought to you by Janet Wise. My boss invited me to the next planning meeting. How do I prepare so what I have to say is heard and valued?
This one is for all of my entrepreneurs and side hustlers, those who want to make their dream life their real life. If you have products and services that you want to pitch to a corporate clientele, you have to have the right strategy to identify the right decision makers so that you can get seen and heard. For more than 15 years, I've been the head of learning and development for a global Fortune 500 company. That puts me on the corporate buying side of products and services. I have a system for getting and pitching to a corporate clientele, and it all begins with Advantage You. Tip number 1, know your personal brand. What makes you stand out in your particular field or industry? Tip number 2, remember, it's not about you. Make it about them. No doubt you have products and services that are brilliant, But when you're talking to the corporate buyer, you want to always align it back to their bottom line and why it's going to impact their organization. Tip number 3, find the right sponsor or champion inside the organization. What I mean is, if you are selling a leadership program, then sure, you'd want to talk to somebody like me, who heads up learning and development. Similarly, if you have a wellness program, you likely want to connect with somebody in HR, or if they have somebody specifically in that role. What I'm saying is, be sure that you are pitching, positioning, and more importantly, building a relationship with the right individual so that you could get seen, get heard, and then have them make the decision as your sponsor. And this last tip is about co-branding. I know in my corporate role, I want to purchase from somebody who's going to also make me look good. So be sure to align yourself not only to the sponsor, not only to the organization, but ensure that your product has the right business fit. Further to that, you want to demonstrate that you understand the corporate buyer's position and their needs. You know, according to research by Forrester's, 88% of corporate buyers' surveys indicated that they believe that only 24% of vendors fully understood their business. Now, great, you're knowledgeable about your products and services, but what's key to a corporate buyer is that you understand my pain points inside the organization. So turn the tables and become a student of the industry, not just an expert in what you can deliver. All right, tweet me and let me know who your dream corporate client is.
Be sure to download Janet's free guide on personal branding at wiseadvantages.com. Next up, we have Getting Uncorked on the red carpet.
Everybody, please welcome Brooke to the show.
Hello, I'm Brooke Hogan. Hi.
All right, so quick question for our viewers. What's your number one piece of advice to them for them to stand in their greatest power?
I would say that you have to persevere no matter what comes in front of you. If people tell you no, if you have those moments, because trust me, getting to that road of success, you're going to have the depressing moments where you just want to quit, and you're going to have people flake out on you, and you're going to not have any hope in humankind. And then there's going to be one person, one angel, or one opportunity or something that comes and gives you a little nugget of hope, and it gives you that strength to go to the next place. You like kind of jump lily pads like a frog of faith. Frog of faith.
The frog of faith.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Talking about frogs is so beautiful.
Everybody, this is Reid, 3 feet from gold.
Absolutely, long time no see. That's 10 years ago.
10 years ago. Well, technically no, because I'm still living in Canada. So
that's true. 9 years ago, something like that. I don't know.
I don't know. Can you get uncorked and sit uncorked?
I'd love to.
Okay, first question for you to get uncorked on is if you had the number one things that you could give somebody in terms of advice on how to step into their greatest self, what would that be?
Surround yourself with people that give you counsel and not opinion. Opinion is based on ignorance and lack of knowledge, and counsel is wisdom and experience.
Freaking brilliant. And is there anything in general you want to get uncorked about right now?
Surround yourself with people that can uplift and inspire. It seems like so many times we surround ourselves with people like mind, but it goes the opposite way. But when you surround yourself with brightness and greatness, then all of a sudden those things start magically appearing.
I love it. Thank you so much.
We'll figure it out.
All right.
So now that we are more in harmony with our money, next week we've got Andrea Payne coming to the show, and she's going to be really enlightening us and getting uncorked on how you can manage politics in the workplace. Janet Wise is back, and Janet Wise is going to give us a huge skinny on if you're in a job but you know you want to do something at the side, how do you get started? And of course, our wonderful Dr. Nathalie Beauchamp is coming back, and she's going to talk to us, for those of you that's got thyroid stuff messing with your weight, she's going to give you the skinny on that. So I'll see you next week. I can't wait. Let's get uncorked.